In 2025, the latest martial arts film by Tsui Hark, titled The Legend of the Condor Heroes, was finally released on online platforms, featuring the collaboration of Xiao Zhan, Liang Jiahui, and Zhang Dafei. The film quickly topped the box office for the martial arts genre in the history of mainland Chinese cinema. Without further ado, let's get started. The film is adapted from the last 6 chapters of the original novel by Jin Yong. At the end of the Northern Song period, the Song dynasty was continuously pressured by the Jin dynasty. 2 emperors of the Northern Song were captured by the Jin, and this event is known as the Jingkang Incident. After the fall of the Northern Song, the court moved south to establish the Southern Song, but they were still unable to resist the Jin and could only pay annual tributes of food and money. The power of the Jin continued to grow, but there were still those who persisted in resisting them. The Mongols allied with the tribes on the steppe to rebel against the Jin. The main character, Guo Jing, grew up in Mongolia, then moved to the Central Plains where he met Wang Rong, a spirited girl. They fell in love at first sight and wandered the martial world together. However, one day, Guo Jing's 7 masters, the 7 freaks of Jiangnan, warned him that the martial world is treacherous and advised him not to associate with certain people. Wang Rong's father, the Eastern heretic Huang Yaoshi, was known for his strange and cruel methods, so it was assumed that his daughter would also be a witch. The 7 masters urged Guo Jing to think carefully, but unbeknownst to them, Huang Rong had climbed the wall and overheard everything. After the 7 freaks of Jiangnan left, Huang Rong entered the temple and told Guo Jing not to listen to them. They were not experts. Then Huang Rong took Guo Jing to find Hong Qigong, using delicious food to entice him to teach Guo Jing the 18 dragon subduing palms. As a result, Guo Jing's martial arts improved significantly, and their feelings for each other deepened. Huang Rong promised Guo Jing that if they ever got separated, he should leave a spinning top wherever he went, while she would carve a mark on a stone so they could find each other. Unfortunately, this beautiful moment did not last long. 5 members of the 7 freaks of Jiangnan were massacred on Peach Blossom Island. Previously, Zhang Asheng had been killed by Mai Xiaofeng, leaving only the leader, Ka Zhenne, who was missing. Guo Jing mistakenly believed that Huang Yaoshi was the culprit, and in his immense sorrow, he sought revenge for his master. Although Wang Rong explained that her father was not on the island, and therefore could not be the murderer, Guo Jing still did not believe her. Thus, the two severed their relationship. Later, Guo Jing found his master Ka Zhenne and learned that on that day, Dongta was indeed not on the island, and the real culprit was someone else. At this point, Guo Jing realized he had wronged Ronger and began to search for her. Just then, the Mongol army was rebelling against the Jin, and war was everywhere in the Central Plains. In fact, since their separation, Huang Rong had been searching for Guo Jing, but during a moment of carelessness, she was kidnapped by the Western poison Ouyang Feng. This person is malicious and skilled in using poison, not shying away from any means. To gain the ultimate martial arts skills, he did not hesitate to collude with Wanyan Hongli of the Jin dynasty. Now he wants to obtain the secrets of the 9 Yin manual from Huang Rong, as mastering this technique could make him the #1 in a chaotic world, capable of facing thousands of troops. Suddenly, Master Lingji called out from outside the window to the Western poison, asking if he wanted to scout the approaching Mongol army. Wang Rong, quick-witted and furious, scolded Master Lingji, saying that if he couldn't survive in the Central Plains, he should go be a hunting dog for Wanyan Hongli of the Jin. Master Lingji was infuriated by the insult and threw a death-dealing talisman at Huang Rong's neck. Inside it was a small, venomous snake. If the iron ring was broken, the snake would crawl out and bite. Huang Rong wanted to sever their relationship, so she said whoever was more capable would be told about the 9 Yin manual, only to discover that a few of his subordinates also wanted to eavesdrop. Ouyang Feng immediately shouted, chasing after the subordinates who were about to rush out, but in an instant, Wang Rong had jumped into the water. Ouyang Feng, unable to swim, angrily ordered the other henchmen to quickly bring Huang Rong back. Meanwhile, Guo Jing was drawing water by the riverside when he unexpectedly saw the banner of the Mongol army beneath the water. He hurriedly searched, and found Master Lingji poisoning a team of Mongol soldiers including Tulu, Guo Jing's sworn brother. Tulu was the 4th son of Genghis Khan and was greatly favored by him, so Master Lingji wanted to capture Tulu to hand over to the Jin. In a moment of urgency, Guo Jing used the 18 dragon subduing palms to confront him, while Master Lingji used his bronze ring. After a few exchanges, Master Lingji was no match for Guo Jing and was even knocked to the ground. Guo Jing demanded that Master Lingji hand over the antidote, promising to spare his life. However, Master Lingji, ungrateful, shot hidden weapons and a large amount of poison powder at Guo Jing with the bronze ring. He thought he could end the battle, but unexpectedly, Guo Jing used the internal energy of the 9 Yin manual to block all the poison powder around him. Master Lingji recognized that it was the internal energy of the 9 Yin manual, which Ouyang Feng was seeking, and he foolishly fantasized about capturing Guo Jing to hand over to the Western poison. As a result, Guo Jing counterattacked, sending the poison powder back, and Master Lingji was immediately engulfed by it. In the rain of poison, he was cut down by his own weapon and died, after which Guo Jing rescued the Mongolian soldiers. Meanwhile, Huang Rong was still trying to escape while Ouyang Feng and his men were hot on her trail. She ran to a small town near the border and blended into the crowd. Ouyang Feng and the others, riding horses, had not yet noticed Huang Rong. At that moment, a few Jin soldiers rushed in, shouting loudly to stop them. "Do you know who this is? His official rank is even higher than your general. He is the national master of the great Jin kingdom, the Western poison Ouyang Feng." But the Jin soldiers said they had never heard of him. Seeing this, Ouyang Feng didn't want to waste time and fought off the Jin soldiers, then continued to pursue Huang Rong. That evening, Guo Jing held a small spinning top, secretly missing Huang Rong. Tulu mentioned that the Jin had bribed many masters from the Central Plains, so they would continue to launch attacks on them. He suggested that Guojing first return to the Great Khan's camp with him, where Guojing's mother was also present. After thinking for a moment, Guojing decided to temporarily return to the Great Khan's camp, planning to find a way to locate Huang Rong along the way. The next morning before leaving, Guojing hung the small spinning top on a tree branch. Huang Rong indeed saw this spinning top and hurriedly ran to the opposite shore, discovering signs of their rendezvous on a rock. The direction of the tail mark pointed to the way Guojing had gone. Huang Rong immediately mounted her horse and chased after him. At this point, Guojing had arrived at the Great Khan's camp with the Mongolian army. The Mongolian brothers warmly welcomed Guojing's return, though the Great Khan Genghis Khan also personally came to greet him. He was Guojing's adoptive father and held him in high regard. Soon after, Guojing's mother, Li Ping, tearfully reunited with her son and asked if he had found the grave of his father, Guo Xiaotian, over the past 2 years. Guojing continuously nodded. Meanwhile, Huang Rong rode swiftly to a vast prairie, only to find Ouyang Feng and others relentlessly pursuing her like demons. The old monster Tam Tian raised his hand and shot several poisoned needles. Huang Rong couldn't dodge in time and was struck in the shoulder by the poison, falling from her horse. Just at that critical moment, nearby Mongolian cavalry came to rescue Huang Rong. The leader was Princess Huazhang, who brought Huang Rong back to the camp. Based on the size of the tents, everyone guessed there must be at least 100,000 soldiers inside. Seeing this, Ouyang Feng had no choice but to abandon his plan to storm in and intended to find an opportunity to sneak into the camp and poison the water supply to easily incapacitate the 100,000 troops. Meanwhile, Princess Huazhang arranged for doctors to come quickly to detoxify Huang Rong. She also learned that the people from earlier were from the Jin. With Huazhang's help, Huang Rong finally managed to remove the death-dealing ring from her neck. Just then, a servant came to announce that Guojing had returned. Huazhang was overjoyed and ran off to prepare herself. "What is his name?" "His name is Guojing, and we are about to be married." It turned out that because Genghis Khan valued Guojing highly, he had arranged for his daughter, Huazhang, to marry him. Hearing this, Huang Rong was stunned and couldn't recover for a long time. At the same time, Li Ping led her son to pay respects to her husband, Guo Xiaotian. She handed Guojing the blood-stained cloak, a relic of her husband. 20 years ago, Guo Xiaotian wanted to restore the honor of Jingkong, but was assassinated by someone bribed by the Jin. Li Ping instructed her son to always remember their roots in the Central Plains. As soon as she finished speaking, Huazhang rushed in, causing a commotion. Guojing sternly told her to step outside first so he could perform a memorial service. After the service, they would find a place to talk. Huazhang shyly mentioned their engagement, believing Guojing had returned to marry her, but Guojing told her that although they grew up together, he had never thought about marrying her. Seeing that Huazhang didn't believe him, Guojing quickly said, "I met a girl in the Central Plains and learned many things from her. I also understand what it feels like to have affection. Even though we are currently misunderstanding each other and apart, I will definitely find her." After hearing this, Huazhang angrily returned to the tent. At this moment, Huang Rong, who intended to leave quietly, saw Huazhang's anger and, upon asking, learned that Guojing remembered her. However, how could she refuse the marriage arranged by the Great Khan? Additionally, after hearing Huazhang mention wanting to kill the girl Guojing loved, Huang Rong hesitated to reveal herself to Guojing. Huazhang, upon hearing that Huang Rong wanted to leave, offered to give her a good horse, but just then, soldiers reported that the horses hadn't drunk water since they were brought in today. When everyone went to check the water source, they immediately realized someone had poisoned it, surely done by Ouyang Feng and his accomplices. This meant those people were still nearby. Huazhang advised Huang Rong to stay for a few more days, warning that otherwise she might fall into the enemy's hands. Huang Rong agreed, and asked Huazhang to deliver a letter to a beggar with a bag around his neck in Dangzhou. If the beggars came, they would help deal with Ouyang Feng. At the same time, Ouyang Feng and his group discovered that Guojing was also in the Mongolian camp, making it possible to capture both of them at once. One of his subordinates suddenly asked about the rumors that Guojing had fought him, who ultimately won. Ouyang Feng, upon hearing this, immediately fell into reflection. In the palace in Linan, Ouyang Feng had used poison to attack Guojing with the 9-yin manual. Guojing retaliated with the ox-driving palm, hitting Ouyang Feng hard, which made him furious as he used the cable's technique, regretting that Guojing had countered his attack. In the end, Ouyang Feng was defeated, but to save face, he insisted that they were evenly matched and that he almost won. "At that time, we had someone in the city who clearly saw you crawling out. Do you really believe that nonsense?" Ouyang Feng used a gentle smile to persuade the old monster Tam Tian, then arranged for a few people to sneak into the camp to find Huang Rong's location. Meanwhile, Tulu reported to his father that, while pursuing the Jin army, they had been ambushed by masters from the Central Plains. If Guojing hadn't used the 9-yin manual in time to detoxify, they wouldn't have survived. This implied that Guojing could play a significant role, but this statement caused dissatisfaction among Tulu's 2 older brothers. The Mongols were facing the Jin with millions of elite soldiers. Currently, the Mongolian army was suffering heavy losses at the northern front of the Jin. War was not like the martial arts of the Central Plains, relying on just one person. However, the Great Khan believed that perhaps Guojing could help significantly. So the Great Khan asked Guojing to demonstrate the 9-yin manual. That evening, a campfire was lit in the military camp, and the entire army gathered to watch Guojing's martial arts performance. Guojing then presented a spectacular display with the 9-yin manual and the 18 dragons subduing palms. Huang Rong stood to the side, covering her face with tears, which puzzled Huazhang. After Guojing finished his performance, the entire army cheered his name. The Great Khan, watching, couldn't help but exclaim, and quickly asked how many people in the Central Plains had such skills. Guojing then told him about the 5 unmatched masters of the Central Plains. The Great Khan lamented that the world was indeed vast and full of wonders. He considered himself experienced, but he didn't expect that there were still greater heights to reach. Guo Jing accidentally glanced towards Hua Zhang and felt that the person next to her looked very familiar. Just then, a guard reported that several patrolling soldiers had been killed, and traces of a campfire were found outside the camp. The Great Khan ordered the entire army to go on high alert. The situation was so serious, and the army still dared to be careless. The Great Khan requested a large military training the next day. The following day, Wang Rong and Hua Zhang went to watch the training. Genghis Khan called Guo Jing to the drill ground, perhaps intending to have Guo Jing learn how to command the army. Did Genghis Khan want Guo Jing to study tactics? Then, at a signal, two large formations quickly charged at each other. This formation was a tactic used in the previous battle against the Jin army. The Mongols excelled at luring the enemy deep into their territory. Although it seemed chaotic, they were actually flanking the enemy in two wings. However, despite the confidence of the Great Khan's sons, there was some worry. Direct confrontation was not a long-term strategy, and in the previous major battles, they had failed to break through the northern front of the Jin. The Mongols might need to find another way. The Great Khan had sent envoys to seek permission from the Song Emperor to pass through their territory to launch a surprise attack on the Jin capital. If the Song Emperor refused, then the Mongols would become their enemies. Hua Zhang noticed that Guo Jing's two older brothers wanted to embarrass him in front of the troops. Wang Rong thought for a moment and told Hua Zhang to remind Guo Jing to bring any military texts from the Central Plains. If he had any, he should train according to them. This once again made Hua Zhang suspicious. She seemed too familiar with Guo Jing. Meanwhile, Zheng Bang, after receiving a letter from the leader Huang Rong, quickly sent over 100 disciples to support Guo Jing. "Where is your leader? She has been missing for 4 months, but someone as clever as her should be fine." However, the disciples brought a portrait for Guo Jing, which was the likeness of their leader. After that, Huang Rong secretly contacted her brothers. Some of her brothers didn't understand why she didn't appear to meet Guo Jing. Huang Rong made an excuse, saying that Guo Jing had to command the army and that there were many issues to resolve, especially with the Western poison. Wu Yangfeng around. She also felt it wasn't appropriate to reveal herself, so she wanted to ask her brothers to help convey her message. Unexpectedly, they brought a whole group of brothers, treating her words like a portrait. At the same time, Hua Zhang asked Guo Jing to confirm whether he had brought any military texts from the Central Plains. As it turned out, Guo Jing had a book called Warfare Insights, left by General Yue Fei. The book recorded strategies to counter the Jin army, which is why the Jin always wanted to obtain it. Hua Zhang was stunned for a long time, thinking she now knew who that girl was. That evening, Guo Jing gathered everyone to study the military text. But in reality, Huang Rong secretly hid outside the tent, writing down her thoughts and giving them to Guo Jing. Little did they know, all of this was observed by Hua Zhang. She became even more certain of her suspicion that Huang Rong was the girl Guo Jing longed for. In fact, Huang Rong didn't dare to acknowledge Guo Jing, because he had once said he never wanted to see her again, which made her a bit fearful. At this moment, Hua Zhang directly exposed Huang Rong's identity and insisted on fighting her. Just as Huang Rong was about to confront Hua Zhang, Wu Yangfeng suddenly rushed out, threatening her life. Huang Rong then threw the 9-yin manual she had compiled at Wu Yangfeng, thus averting the immediate danger. The next day, Huang Rong thought for a long time and ultimately decided to lead her people away from the camp. Staying would only cause more trouble for Guo Jing. Guo Jing had always remembered Huang Rong, so he decided to go to the Central Plains. But before he could find Huang Rong, the Jin army came and stole all the livestock, leaving only one survivor. The Great Khan decided to immediately borrow a path to strike directly at the Jin capital. Since Guo Jing understood the territory of the Song dynasty best, he ordered Guo Jing to lead the army against the Jin. Meanwhile, the beggar brothers received the latest news. The southern Song court refused to allow the Mongolian army to pass through to attack the Jin, as the officials there were still thinking of the Mongols. However, the Mongolian army still intended to go to the Central Plains to fight first, and then seek permission to ambush the Jin capital. Currently, Huang Rong was unaware of where she was hiding, so they prepared to search for her first. Soon, Guo Jing learned of her whereabouts from a roadside inn, so he hurried back to the Mongolian camp, wanting to persuade the Great Khan to retract the order to attack the Jin, as it was a significant military matter. Once they declared war on each other, it would lead to suffering for the people, and he could not agree to the command of the army. Guo Jing, being a citizen of the Song dynasty, absolutely could not allow his country to be invaded. Guo Jing's resistance to the order enraged the Great Khan. He had always treated Guo Jing well, but now he had raised an ungrateful person. Thus, the Great Khan ordered Guo Jing to be executed. Tulu continuously pleaded with the Great Khan, who temporarily spared Guo Jing's life, declaring that he would decide his fate when he returned from the south. During this time, neither Guo Jing nor his mother were allowed to leave the camp. Guo Jing hurriedly sought his mother, wanting to take the opportunity to get her away. However, he didn't expect that his mother didn't want to implicate him. Li Ping instructed her son to inherit his father's legacy and return to the Central Plains to protect the Song dynasty. Then, taking advantage of Guo Jing's inattention, she committed suicide so that her son would no longer be burdened. Guo Jing was utterly heartbroken. At that moment, Hua Zhang ran to help Guo Jing, feeling very guilty about what he and his mother had gone through. Subsequently, Hua Zhang found a carriage to help Guo Jing and his mother's body escape from the camp. His good brother Tulu also turned a blind eye and let them leave. The group made their way to Yanmen Pass, and crossing this place would lead them into the Central Plains. Hua Zhang knew that the two would likely not meet again in the future, so she advised Guo Jing to take care of himself and then immediately set off to return to the camp. Guo Jing bid farewell to Hua Zhang and buried his mother's body in the Central Plains. He knelt before her grave and promised to inherit his father's legacy and protect the land of the Song dynasty. Shortly after, Guo Jing arrived at a border town and discovered that the southern Song had deployed many soldiers, indicating that a great battle was imminent. At this moment, Guo Jing saw a sign for a restaurant that featured a special dish from Rongni, and upon inquiring, he learned that a young lady had paid to have these restaurants display the sign. Guojing suddenly remembered the place where Huang Rong first made this dish for him, and he tirelessly searched for it until he finally reunited with Huang Rong. The two embraced tightly, sharing their feelings of longing and sorrow. However, the next day, the Mongolian army approached the city, causing the people to flee their homes. The two sought out Magistrate Li, who was defending the city, and asked him to allow them to go up to the city walls to observe the enemy's situation. Magistrate Li hesitated for a moment but then nodded in agreement. Guojing and Huang Rong climbed to the city wall and looked out, seeing the Mongolian army approaching like a tidal wave, with the Great Khan personally leading the troops, clearly determined to capture the fortress. Comparing both sides, it was evident that the morale of the Song army was disheartening. At that moment, an unexpected figure appeared, Wu Yangfeng. He had mastered the 9-yin manual, but now he was beginning to lose his sanity, even though his martial arts had become more formidable. Guojing guessed that if Wu Yangfeng acted, now he would show no mercy to either side. The Mongolian army immediately drew their bows and shot arrows like rain at Wu Yangfeng. But unfortunately, they could not inflict any harm on him. Wu Yangfeng retaliated by shooting arrows back at the Mongolian troops, causing chaos in their ranks. The Great Khan realized that they were facing a strange martial artist from the Central Plains, indicating they had encountered a strong enemy. Wu Yangfeng stood on a siege cart, loudly declaring that he would personally take the Great Khan's head, but the cannon fire could not harm him either. In the next moment, Wu Yangfeng suddenly charged out from the thick smoke, carrying 2 boxes of explosives that could detonate at any moment. Guojing, observing from the side, immediately leaped onto his horse and charged into the center of the battlefield, shouting in Mongolian for everyone to get out of the way. The Mongolian troops quickly cleared a path. He urged his horse straight toward Wu Yangfeng, but Wu Yangfeng was getting closer to the Great Khan. As Guojing's horse leaped over the barricade, Wu Yangfeng rushed toward the Great Khan with the explosives. In a moment of danger, Guojing rushed in to save the Great Khan, who revealed a satisfied smile. After that, Guojing and Wu Yangfeng began to duel, with one using the orthodox 9-yin manual, and the other employing his own skills, making it difficult to determine a winner. Wu Yangfeng dropped to the ground, using his cables to continuously push Guojing back several steps. Guojing steadied himself, focused his energy, and soon discovered a flaw in his opponent's technique. Guojing unleashed his internal power to attack, but Wu Yangfeng immediately countered. The 18 dragon-subduing palms were unpredictable and truly challenging to counter. Wu Yangfeng then pushed Guojing into the crowd, trying to disrupt his techniques. Guojing, in order to save Tulu, was pinned under the siege cart. Just as Wu Yangfeng was about to finish off Guojing, Guojing once again executed a powerful technique, sending Wu Yangfeng flying and hitting him with an arrow from the Great Khan. He was severely injured and finally regained some rationality, fleeing in haste. Magistrate Li saw the Mongolian army in disarray and immediately ordered the city gates to be opened for a counterattack. Unexpectedly, Huang Rong captured Magistrate Li, threatening him to order a retreat to defend the city. However, the Mongolian army had found a gap and was about to attack, leaving the Song troops with no time to return to the city. In a moment of crisis, Guojing and Huang Rong rode out between the two armies and had to stop the fighting. Thus, the two of them spread their arms wide in front of the Mongolian army. Guojing shouted to Tulu, "If the Mongolian army insists on crossing this city, they will have to step over my dead body first." Not long after, the Great Khan summoned Guojing to the front lines. The Great Khan still did not change his mind, as the Jin had ravaged the steppes for many years, and now was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to attack the Jin. The Great Khan was determined to cross the city, but Guojing's attitude was equally resolute. Although his father had been harmed by the Song, Guojing had grown up on the steppes and always carried the concern for the common people, not wanting to see war spread. Guojing continued, "The bravery of the Great Khan has never been matched, but the world does not know how many bones have piled up, and how many tears have been shed. A true hero is not one who conquers the north and south, but one who cares for the country and the people and maintains compassion. That is the true definition of a great hero." The Great Khan, feeling somewhat regretful, said, "I regret not giving Guojing a Mongolian name," but Guojing firmly replied that even with a Mongolian name, he would not forget his true name. The Great Khan fell silent for a long time before announcing a withdrawal. Master JB and Tulu stepped forward to bid farewell to Guojing, all hoping for a day of peace in the world. After the Mongolian army retreated, Guojing and Huang Rong chose to stay and guard the border, using their lives to protect the Central Plains. This concludes the story. Since its release, the film has garnered attention as a new cinematic adaptation of the classic Jin Yong IP, carrying great expectations, but also provoking much controversy. Visually and orally, the film has commendable highlights. From the vivid portrayal of the vast Mongolian steppe to the grand staging of battle scenes, the film showcases its strengths in building imagery. The martial arts techniques were also boldly innovated. The 18 dragon-subduing palms and other skills were depicted with impressive visual effects. Although it diverges from traditional martial arts techniques, it aligns with current film viewing trends and brings new ideas to the action design. However, the film also has prominent issues, particularly the chaotic pacing in the latter half of the story, with many logical gaps that contradict the spirit of the original. The theme of the great hero is weakened by dangling, hollow plot points that reduce it to a mere slogan. The adaptation has cut or significantly altered important content from the original, leading to a fragmented character development arc. Guojing's transformation from a young man of the steppes to a great hero defending the city occurs abruptly, making it difficult for the audience to empathize with the character. Additionally, the film overuses special effects to create a fantastical feel, undermining the martial foundation that martial arts films rely on. The analysis of techniques and the balance between strength and skill have been replaced by exaggerated lighting effects, making it hard for martial arts fans to accept. At the same time, the exploration of cultural implications and Guojing's spirit of chivalry relies solely on dialogue, lacking emotional and internal action support. In summary, Hero of the Social Battlefield is a bold attempt but has many regrettable points. It features bright spots in visual innovation and character representation, showing an effort to explore and change the martial arts film genre. However, the shortcomings in adapting the storyline and maintaining the core of martial arts and cultural expression have prevented it from continuing the brilliant success of the original. It serves as a wake-up call for the development of martial arts cinema, leaving many reflections for the film industry. How to balance honoring the original while meeting contemporary audience expectations in adapting classics, and how martial arts cinema in a new context can maintain its core while innovating its presentation. The story ends here today. Thank you for watching the film. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and subscribe to support us. Goodbye and see you again.